think that these are the biggest stories in America.
As the fallout from Donald Trump's disastrous summit with Vladimir Putin continues, so does the Mueller investigation into possible Trump-Russia collusion.
There seemed to be some sort of expense system in place, the Trump organization, for things that needed to be fixed, like a Stormy Daniels.
That conversation with Donald Trump that Michael Cohen secretly recorded is officially no longer a secret.
I think the big story here is the fact that you now have Michael Cohen has now flipped on Donald Trump.
But those stories are nothing more than meaningless stand-ins, distractions from the most important story of the day. And what is it? America's winning again because we have a president with guts. On defense, on manufacturing, our culture, trade. Few presidents have fought the way Trump has. Even his former GOP foes have had to concede the obvious. Here's Marco Rubio on Trump's interactions with China.
On a broader scale, I don't know of any administration that's confronted China's cheating more than this administration has, to be fair.
Trump has steadfastly refused to cede America's preeminence to the communist regime of China. But remember, China already has a $23.2 trillion economy, which is almost $4 trillion more than our own. But with tough tariffs and blunt talk, he has now brought China to the negotiating table. That is a very good thing. And just today, the president met with EU Commission President to discuss trade. After Trump boosted tariffs on certain EU goods to create a fair situation for American manufacturers, the EU retaliated with tariffs of its own. But today, they were all singing a different tune.
We agreed today, first of all, to work together towards zero tariffs, zero non-tariff barriers, and zero subsidies on non-auto industrial goods. We will also work to reduce barriers and increase trade in services, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, medical products, as well as soybeans. And it will also make trade fairer and more reciprocal.
When I was invited by the president to the White House, I had one intention. I had the intention to make a deal today, and we made a deal today.
Why hadn't any of these other presidents done what Trump did? They didn't want to, or they didn't have the brain power to do it, or they didn't have the courage to do it. But today, the market responded, closing at its highest level since January. And this kind of advance wouldn't have been possible if Trump had not raised the issue and raised the ante with the EU all along. The market is soaring. Wages are beginning, ever so slowly, to rise. In fact, 213,000 jobs have been added here just last month due to Trump's policies. GDP growth is strong with an expected huge number this Friday. Bottom line, it is a great time to be an American, someone who's working, who wants a job. And to top it all off, the president's Hire American initiative has started to produce results. There was a 41% increase in denials of high-skilled H-1B visa applicants between the third and fourth quarter. That helps American citizens over foreign workers in the job market. It's about time. And the president is doing all of this while battling the deep state, the unfair media, of course, all the international bureaucrats we've come to know and love, and establishment politicians here in Washington. And there are some congressmen who, despite all this great news, just refuse to get the memo that, the Bush era is over.
I don't support tariffs. I think tariffs are taxes, and I think there are better tools that we can use to hold abusers of trade laws and countries that perpetuate unfair trade practices. I think there are better tools to use to get them to play fairly.
I have a question. If those magic tools were out there, why weren't they used before? But what tools? I was looking at the toolbox. Where are they? And let's remember what some other experts in Congress were recently saying about the tariffs.
A wildly swung bat that is hitting our closest allies in a way that harms our national security, harms our chances at better trade deals.
I just think there's so much collateral damage. I think it's a very risky and dangerous strategy.
This is an abuse of presidential authority. It's an abuse of presidential authority.
Well, once again, guess what? They're wrong. Trump stood for America with a tool that every president has used in one form or another, and our economic competitors ended up doing the thing that he predicted they'd do. They came to the table, they started listening, and they made concessions. More are coming, by the way. So rather than taking pot shots at the president, Republicans should be celebrating and promoting this approach to trade in the economy, the Trump agenda. It's also their clearest path to victory in the midterms, which reminds me, by the way, a word of caution for this president at the same time. We got to talk straight here with all the good news, also a word of caution. Every time, Mr. President, you comment on the latest Michael Cohen tape, or every time you spar with lowlifes like Brennan or Avenatti or any of them, I think what you do sometimes, you end up giving oxygen to the stories advanced by your political opponents to distract from the most important story. That's America's economic resurgence and the restoration of our place in the world. So Donald Trump should be taking a victory lap almost every week in a different way, shape, or form. Things are awesome right now. The more the president and his party focus on that story, the more the Stormy, Mueller, Michael Cohen sideshow is diminished. The media attempt to distract voters from the lived experience of the Trump economy. But I'm telling you, it's not working. My radio listeners tell me every day, we don't care about these stories. What's in my bottom line? Trump's approval, by the way, today at 48%, according to a new American Barometer poll. The voters know reality, and they're tuning out the rest of this stuff. It's kind of white noise, background noise to them. They can see the impact of this presidency every day. They can feel it in their pocketbooks. They can feel it in their lives. And that's the angle. Joining me now for reaction is Dan Bongino, host of the Dan Bongino Show podcast. Dave Bossie, former deputy campaign manager of President Trump's campaign and co-author of Let Trump Be Trump. And, of course, Richard Goodstein, a Democratic strategist and former advisor to Bill and Hillary Clinton. Great to have all of you on. Richard, your reaction.
Well, first, for your viewers, there were two more recent polls. One, the Quinnipiac poll that had the president's approval at 38, and the Marist poll that had it at 39. Worse, in the Quinnipiac poll, the question was, does the president stand up for U.S. interests? 54% said no. 41% said yes.
What do you think?
Yes.
What do you I mean?
What I'm saying
Richard,
is,
hold on. I just have a simple question for you.
Yeah.
I know you're here and you're going to say Trump sucks.
No.
Trump sucks.
No.
I mean, you're going to say that, but listen for a second. You see him up there with the EU commissioner, right? You guys were out there saying this thing was going to tank, that the tariffs were going to tank things. He stood up there with the EU commissioner, and they stood together, and they said, we're going to work together, we're going to lower tariffs. That was a victory. And for anyone, Democrat or Republican or independent, to claim anything other than that was a president standing up for America is false and fraudulent. So I hope you're not about to do that on this show tonight. I don't care about your Quinnipiac.
It's a victory in the same way that him standing with Kim in North Korea and saying we have denuclearized.
The EU is Kim?
Well, no, I'm saying it's empty. Just like the Kim deal was empty, this is a promise to talk about promising.
No, they've already made concessions on soybeans. Yes, they did. It was announced. Dave Bossie, you got that wrong.
Well, I don't think so.
This president campaigned as an American first president. That is what he has done. He's done it on trade. He's done it on foreign policy. He's done it on the economy. This president has decided, I'm going to take on these unfair tariffs and these bad trade deals, which have been on America for the last 30 or 40 years, after I build a strong economy. And that's what we have. This president, unlike any president in recent past, has done America first and America only, and he stood tall in the world doing it.
Richard, you're going to get another chance to come back at me because I came at you pretty hard. But Dan Bongino, Friday's GDP, that number, you get the sense it's going to be very high. 4% plus. We haven't had a 4. Anyone know on this table the last time we had a 4% GDP?
Yeah, Obama 2014.
Yeah, okay, 4% GDP. It was projected that he was going to tank the economy. Mark Cuban, all these people predicting economic Armageddon under Donald Trump. Dan Bongino, to hear people claim that this president is asleep at the wheel, he's playing a reality game here, he doesn't know what he's doing, is preposterous. Look at what happened today, and we're going to have more news on China, by the way. But go ahead.
Yeah, I love it, Laura. Keep underestimating them, folks. Richard, you too. It's working so well for you, isn't it? Didn't you give him a 0% chance of winning the Washington Post, Donald Trump, before the election? I remember that Washington Post headline, by the way. Hey, listen, folks, here's the deal. New rules, okay? New rules. The Democrats for 8 years attacked us with the most vicious identity politics known to man. Nobody gives a crap about Michael Cohen. Nobody gives a damn about this president's personal behavior. Here's the new rules. Now it's about winning. It's about winning on taxes. It's about winning on your business. It's about winning on a pro-life judge agenda, saving infants in the womb. It's about saving your health care. It's about saving the education system. It's about doing the right thing for once with this government. You want to focus on a tape recording of a sleazy lawyer who taped his client? You go right ahead, knock it out. We'll be looking at a landslide in 2020. But make no mistake, the new rules are here. It's about winning. And again, one more thing. For all the never-Trumpers out there, oh, we're sacrificing our principles here. No, BS. This is the first president since Reagan actually in the White House fighting for our principles. So spare me the crap moral lectures. Save it for someone who gives a damn, and it ain't me.
Yeah, when I hear Paul Ryan talking about, I'm for other tools. I'm sorry, I had to burst out. What is he talking about? This Kempian idea that there are other tools, like Reagan and Bush and Clinton and Obama didn't talk to the Europeans about having better trade. They did. They talked and talked and got nowhere.
Donald Trump's policies were going to cause the sky to fall, us to have a recession, and us to go to war across this globe. None of those things have happened. That's what the Democrat Party stands for. The negativity, the hate. They hate this president more than they love this country.
They despise him, Richard.
Couple things. Yeah. First, I give Trump credit for going after the Chinese who've been getting away with murder. No question about it. But, for example, they're getting away with murder on aluminum, for example. But why put tariffs on the EU, Canada, Mexico, countries that are not responsible for this? Okay, well, so it's just a little misplaced.
But that's we can do trade for an hour.
Here's why I think his numbers are dipping below 40. Truthful hyperbole doesn't work. You can't say to the public would and the next day wouldn't and expect that everybody's going to fall for it. People are now getting wise to it.
I didn't think that was handled well.
You can't say, I didn't have an affair with these people, and then it comes out on tape that you did. You just can't get away with it.
Well, first of all, we do know that Bill Clinton said a lot of things, ended up not being true. He also went out as one of the most popular presidents in the 1990s. So Republicans overplayed their hand on the Clinton impeachment. Well, David Bossie and I were there then. We were part of that deal, right? But
I remember.
But the American people, they said, look, the economy's great. He worked together with Gingrich. Looked like things were welfare reform. They actually accomplished stuff. So I agree. If that's all there was, all that chaos, then I think Richard would have a point. He is right, Dave Bossie, that, look, the independents, 7 points down, Republicans. People who identify themselves as Republicans, shrinking. Poll came out tonight. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan. Numbers are way down for Trump, not where he wants them to be. So that's not good. So
but
he's got to not get distracted on this other stuff.
I totally agree with you. However, these are polls based on minutes and hundreds of hours of anti-Trump media, the media bias that is pervasive across the newspapers and televisions that the American people consume every day. That's why the president goes straight to the American people and tries to speak directly to them, whether it's using Twitter or speaking directly to them like he did today in the Rose Garden. But this is what he is up against. He's up against the Hillary Clinton, who will not accept defeat, right? Didn't accept the results of the election nearly 2 years later, or the Democrat Party, who hates them and wants to delegitimize them.
A lot of Republicans don't like them either. They hate these tariffs because they're future law. You know what I'm going to call a lot of these people? The Corker doesn't need the money. He's rich. But there are a lot of these other guys. Future lobbyist Ryan. Future lobbyist Flake. Sorry. I mean, it might be uncharitable, but I've imagined they'll be doing some lobbying. That's my sense. Bongino, I want you to listen to an exchange. SecDef Mike Pompeo, I always call him Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was on Capitol Hill. He was grilled by the Senate. Watch this exchange.
How do I know the difference between a presidential statement that is not a policy and a statement that is?
Senator, here's what you should look at. Compare the following. Barack Obama speaking tough on Russia and doing nothing.
Those were true.
It is true.
I understand you want to rewrite the Obama policy on Russia, but that's simply not true. He organized all of Europe and all of the world.
Let's go. The man said he would have more flexibility after.
I'm not listening. My question isn't about. I know you want to turn constantly back.
No, I just want to look at facts and policy,
Obama.
Senator.
At that point, Chris Murphy, Dan, kind of gave up. He's like, can I buy a vowel? I mean, this guy's actually fighting back. Your reaction? They're trying to distract. You know, the Putin owns Trump. Trump just giving it all the way to Moscow. I mean, it just seems Mickey Mouse to me. I'm not saying the Trump administration has handled everything right. I think they did not handle the post-Helsinki right. I don't think that. I would have just said, look, I want a better relationship with Putin. I want a better relationship. Put me on a cross. That's what I want. I would have said that. I wouldn't have apologized. I wouldn't have done any of that stuff. I wouldn't have changed the would. I wouldn't have done that. Nevertheless, it looks like penny ante stuff up there on Capitol Hill. Most people, their wallets are getting thicker.
Yeah, but Laurie, you know, what's interesting about this is the Trump administration isn't saying they handled everything right. He came out the next day, he corrected it, he made a course correction. And I asked the American people candidly, it's an honest question, do you want a president under Barack Obama who was honestly weak and then weak in action, or do you want a president like President Trump who goes out again, he talks candidly, he doesn't always use a teleprompter, sometimes that requires him to dial a few things back, which he has, but then who acts in a strong pro-America fashion? What's your choice? I mean, is this a serious choice? Obama talked weak, acted weak, and basically subverted American values on the international stage. Now you have a guy who, all right, so he has to correct some things once in a while. That's fine. Look at what he's actually doing. That's what should matter. And, you know, I just, this is all showmanship up on Capitol Hill. That was ridiculous. I watched that whole thing today.
Yeah, Richard, the Dow is up 38% since the election. S&P is up 33%. NASDAQ's up 52.7%. Don't you wish you bought the futures back?
One final
Russell
thing,
2000, 41%.
As regards weakness,
winning.
As regards weakness, to say that
look at those
a
numbers.
former FBI,
God,
a former KGB head, Putin, gets more deference than our intelligence community, that's weak. Sorry, that's not projecting weakness. That's inviting people, that's inviting other corrupt governments to take a run at us. I'm sorry.
Do you know what the size of the Russian economy is?
I know it's 30th in the world. I know it's nothing.
It's right. But what you guys are all worked up on it, like we're like
Russia,
we're like
Russia
he's
all
wearing
the time.
he's wearing underwear the hammer and sickle on it or something. It's just he wants to get along with Russia because he thinks we're going to get something for Israel, in Syria, in North Korea, and we need Russia's help to triangulate against China. Yeah. We need it. That's where we need Russia.
This Quinnipiac poll says that people think he's doing this with Putin because they think the Russians have.
That's because of what the Democrats have been feeding the American people, lie after lie, night after night.
We'll find out. Yes. We will find out when Mueller's done. We will. I really think we will.
All right. Well, you guys, fantastic segment. And I just said to Richard, I love his suit tonight. Isn't that a beautiful suit? Look at his eyes, blue tie. Oh, you look fine, you other two. House Republicans, you both look great tonight. House Republicans have officially filed, get this, articles of impeachment against Deputy